First, the story. Story was the first learning I ever did. First time I ever learned anything is because my mother told me stories. And so I believe in the power of the story. A young man, he was only 9 years old, was trying to follow in his grandfather's footsteps. You know how young people are. They try to be like their elders. His grandfather, as far as he knew, built bridges. And so he sat in his room. It was a big room, and he had a lot of people to come in and out and take care of him and so on. But he sat in this big room, and he said to himself, I will make a bridge. And so he got kind of like little sticks out in the backyard, and he built a bridge that linked the little play area in his room to his bed. And when he finished building this bridge, which he had gotten glue and sticks and yarn and stuff and put it all together, it was actually not a bad bridge. He called his mother and said, go get Papa. I want him to see what I built. And Papa came and looked at that bridge. And the master bridge maker said, son, that's a good bridge. And the boy said, so Papa, now I'm just like you. You build bridges, I build bridges. And Papa said, not quite. This troubled our young friend. What could Papa mean, not quite? This is a bridge, Papa builds bridges, and then he remembered that Papa builds bridges outside. So he went outside into his play area, which actually adjoined other play areas in that compound with other young people, similar interests. And so he built a bridge between his little area and his friend's area. It was such a good bridge built on sticks and rocks and stones that you could actually cross it. And he walked across his own bridge. He was 12 years old. And he said, Mom, you've got to go get Papa because Papa's got to see my bridge. Now I'm just like Papa. Papa came. He said, boy, that is a good bridge. And Papa stood on that bridge and bounced up and down. It did not fall. It's a good bridge. It was only about a foot up in the air. But it still held strong. And Papa said, that's a good bridge, boy. Boy said, Papa, now I'm just like you. It's not like before. I built this bridge outside, and you can walk on it, so I'm just like you, huh, Papa? Papa said, no, not quite. The boy was baffled. He could not figure out what in the world was going on. Papa built outside, he built outside. You could walk on Papa's bridge, you could walk on his bridge. He couldn't figure out what was wrong. He was very distressed. 3 whole days. He was upset. Finally, his mother said, son, let me take you somewhere tomorrow. We will pack a lunch, and we'll take the animals, and we'll go. I want you to see something. And they got up that morning and did exactly that. They must have walked for about 5 miles before they came across the huge, raging river that stood next to their family home. That river was amazing, wide and deep, and anything that went into it did not come out easily. And the boy looked at that raging river and said, "My goodness." And his mama said, "Son, look up." And high above the river, suspended on poles and ropes, hung the great Imhotep, who was his grandfather. Imhotep, don't you listen to what they tell you on, what's that, the Scorpion King and all that foolishness. Imhotep was perhaps the greatest multi-dimensional genius the world has ever known. He served under the Pharaoh Sosar in the 6th through 9th dynasties, before the unification of the kingdoms. He was a scholar, a statesman, spoke 37 languages, an architect, a master physician, brilliant, beyond our capacity to understand. He hung on his own bridge, building the first suspension bridge ever to cross over between 2 areas. It was built in Africa. Imhotep lay suspended above that bridge, watching as it was built, supervising. And the boy kept looking up. And finally, when Imhotep came down and greeted his grandson said, "Papa, what makes your bridge different than mine?" And Imhotep is credited with having said, "Son, where there is a river, there you must build the bridge." Where there's a river, there you must build the bridge. See, a bridge don't count when it's in your room. Ain't no river in your room. The bridge don't count when it's outside between you and your friends. Ain't no river between you and your friends. If you want to be known as a master architect, then you must build the bridge where there's a need. Why do I resurrect this wonderful story from Imhotep and his grandson? It is because that is what I came to tell you, and I intend to be with the American communities. And all American communities have the legacy of struggle, have the legacy of attempting empowerment for our people. And every last one of those communities, the Japanese, the Filipino, the Dakota, the Lakota, all of our communities, African American, Irish American, all of our communities, Swedish American, every last one of our communities has given us a legacy which we must take forward into the future, or we're not worth our ancestors. When I was a kid, I was scheduled to go to school because people kept saying, "She's smart." Everybody believed I was going to school. When I was 16, headed for Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York, which is where I went to undergraduate school. They had a little party at my church for me. A bunch of old people came to the party. At least I thought they was old then. They was in their 60s and 70s. A couple of them was in their 80s. And they brought little stuff for me, you know, little clothes, $25. 3 little ladies came up to me, Sister Violet Williams, because you had to call them sister that day. Sister Violet Williams, Sister Audrey Perkins, and Sister Eulalia came up to me and they said, "Daughter, we have something for you to take up to the college." Because they all called every school we ever went to the college, or the school. That's what, or the schoolhouse. It was very few terms. They didn't bother to learn Cypress, no, none of that mattered. We was all going to the school. I got something for you to take with you to the school, and they each handed me $5. $5. But I knew what $5 meant to these old women who were living on welfare, who sometimes ate cat food and tuna fish. And at 16, I knew I didn't want to take that from them. I said, I can't. But my mother, wiser than me, said, "No, you must. Because what they're giving you is their faith, that you will finish what you set out to do." I went to Vassar College. It was hard, because at the time, Vassar College didn't know anything about African Americans. And I was many times tempted to give up, particularly in the first semester, sophomore year, when my grade point average went to 1.9. Because I failed 2 courses. One of them in my major, physiological psychology, the other a language I speak fluently, French. The reason I failed these 2 classes is because I was busy learning how to be a revolutionary. I I was crawling through the grass, taking over the dean's office. And I didn't have time to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and go to the French class or the physical psych class. So I fell in love. I went to the then dean of students, and she said, you should change your major from psychology to something easier, like English. And I said, really, why so? She said, because you're on academic probation. I said, yeah, I heard. You know, that's because your grade point average went under 2. I said, yeah, I know. She said, well, change your major, because you will never be able to major in psychology. I'm going to move you today. I said, do you have the right to do that without my permission? She said, no, you have to sign. I said, I'm not signing it. She said, I'm telling you now, you'll fail out of here and you won't be able to graduate, because you'll never be able to finish your major. You have a failing grade in your major. And your grade point average is 1.9. I said, you know what? I failed physiological psychology, and I failed French, but I didn't fail math, baby. I'm not going to fail out. All I got to do is make straight A's between now and when I graduate. And I not only will graduate from psychology, I'll do it magna cum laude. Yeah, you want to go there with me? She said, yeah, but you got an F. There ain't no way you can do that. I said, really? Really? She said, yeah, I've never met a black student who could do that. Why'd she say that to me, Renee?
I don't know.
Why'd she say that to me? I said, really? Well, you met one today. And I proceeded from that moment until I graduated to get straight A's. I graduated from Vassar College. Grade point average 3.85, which is magna cum laude. It says it on my diploma. I know, because I Xeroxed it and sent it. Nobody can stop me. The only person who can stop me is me, and that's only if I give up. And nobody can stop you. The only person who can stop you is you, and only if you give up. Just don't ever give it up. Get ugly. Get in somebody's face. Tell them, hey, don't look at me like that. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I am. You don't know what you're looking at. Don't be looking at me like that out the corner of your eye. No, you need to understand you are looking at the genius of Imhotep. Yeah, you are looking at the power of Nzinga. And then you call on your ancestors' names. And don't you ever, ever, ever let them down. And the only way to let them down is to let go. I'm going to tell you that faith is about believing, young people, that everything humans have ever done, you can do. So you're programming the computer. Stop telling the computer you can't do it. Because the computer reads that programming and then begins to operate on it, which then convinces you you can't do it. Yeah, try putting in the computer, I can do anything humans have done. And it don't matter how long it takes me to do it. Because guess what? Even if I graduate from out here and haven't been here for 5 years, I'm going to get the same diploma like the people who was here for 2 years got. And it does not say on the bottom, oh, and it took them 5 years to get it. It doesn't say that. Kwanzaa reminds me that the first fruits that I bring are trust in myself and in those who brought me into being. Kwanzaa reminds me that when I close my eyes in death, I want to have fully lived. Kwanzaa reminds me that everything my ancestors gave me is still with me. Kwanzaa reminds me to love the people who are like me. Kwanzaa reminds me to love the people who are not like me. Kwanzaa reminds me that every child born into this world is a glorious miracle. Kwanzaa reminds me that every elder that passes into my ancestry is a wonderful model. Kwanzaa reminds me that I can learn from professors in the university, but Kwanzaa reminds me that I can learn from old women in the kitchen. Kwanzaa reminds me that your people are my people, that your way is my way, and that together we can make a world our children can inhabit, can live, love, and create freely, and stand and walk in a warmer sun. Oh, can't you feel it? That warmer sun? Don't you feel it? That bright, bright day? Because it is coming. Because we say so in the power of Imhotep. Asante.